Yo, what's up, everybody? We are doing a completely cold open, not the bells and the whistles that you're used to. This is a emergency podcast, obviously, because John Morant is officially out for the season. He has a torn labrum, and so he hurt it obviously during that game, from what my understanding in the Lakers game, and then was trying to get through some workouts just to try to rehab it, try to get back. Probably a little soreness, a little stiffness, and something happened in that, and obviously now we're looking at a season kind of gone to waste in a sense. But Mark, your initial thoughts on everything whenever the news broke?
Well, I was playing my Fortnite at night with my wife. Her and I did some gaming sessions at night,
Okay.
and looked down on my phone. Saw our Slack popping off. I was like, "Well, that's not good."
Yeah.
Look, it's obviously it's terrible. I mean, it's not a good injury. Like you said, I'm pretty sure, like you talked about, it's from the in happened in game. This is not like a random thing that happened while he was training, or I saw a lot of that already. That training staffs like that. I mean, I get it. There's been a lot of injuries this year, so there's a lot of people want to blame some people, but it's just it's just what it is. Bad luck at this point. It's I think at this point you gotta really look towards the draft. You're looking towards things that you can't control. I mean, they had a lot of work to do before now and next October. And now I think this will let them maybe do a little bit of that work without having to feel bad about it. Maybe.
For sure. For sure. As everybody's saying, like the Memphis curse, obviously, and Allen is the fully engaged the tank. And as we've talked about, the training staff, they've been tanking all year. And so I guess now finally everybody is going to get on board. But listen, it's obviously it's terrible news. And it kind of just hits you in the face. Like, you would think like, hey, we're going to go through this and we have the chance. Like the carrot was hanging, it was dangling. We've always tried to be positive about it because you're talking about, they have a chance to make to the 10th seed. I don't want to get too far ahead of us, just yet, but I do think that this might be something that can actually answer a lot of questions for the Grizzlies, especially for, moves that they might make, potentially going after certain people for this season. It obviously, answers the fact that these young guys are going to get minutes, and we're going to see that, and we're going to see that starting tomorrow night. But my biggest thing is Bane, Jaren, and Smart. What do you do with them? How do you hold them back? Because that's my only thing that worries me. Not to get too far from the Josh stuff, but this is like I guess this is the culmination of everything. Now you have Bane, who is prideful, Jaren prideful, Smart prideful, plus the rest of the guys on this team. They're going to want to go out and possibly do their best because that's what they do. Do they possibly push themselves too far where that actually it keeps compounding? That's what I'm scared of.
Well, I mean, I think the problem is you're not gonna. Those guys are not gonna hold back. Like they're gonna go out and try to win every game. There's not gonna be any like they're gonna go out and try to win as many as they can. Like you said, everybody think up until yesterday, over the weekend, we had 2 good wins. So we talked about it on our show, The Daily Grind, this morning by myself and Luke. It was it was a hell of a weekend. And then, like you were saying, the carrot, if you will, dangling was right there for us. And we just got a little bit of a little bit of hope, a little bit of taste, and then ripped away from us so quickly was really tough. But you're not going to hold those guys back. And I think that is an issue for them. If you really are going to embrace the tank, like Alan said, I mean, you really got to have a plan. And that, like you said, Mike, you mentioned that plan starts with finding minutes for young guys. And to be clear, we've seen this story already for 25 games, for the most part. When they find minutes for these young guys, they got no problem losing. That isn't easy. They're good
we
at that.
Know how to lose.
We're really good at that. They can do that all day long. So if they really start playing some of these young guys, I think it remains to be seen. I think it's really difficult for a team to really go out there and say, hey, yeah, we're losing, right? Like that's a difficult thing to kind of, especially with, like you said, a bunch of guys who are all competitors. And that's a difficult thing to try to get that. I think what you do is, like you mentioned, you open yourself up for trades that you may not have made before, trades that were maybe longer term trades. Like maybe for, they maybe benefit you more next year than it would this year. I think that's what it changes the most. I
Yeah.
think that if that's what you're looking at from the front office, instead of maybe going out and getting a wing that could help you win right now and push you up towards the plan, you maybe look at some other things. And really, again, we've talked about it on our show. You guys, I know you guys have talked about it on your show. The decision of what to do with Steven Adams. That kind of stuff you really kind of look at instead of now. What would you do in the next few weeks because the trade line's like a month away. And then
Yeah, that's the
Nate,
issue.
in honor of Nate, since he's not here tonight, I guess I'm playing his role. So shout out Nate.
You and King
I'm,
Meeks.
I'm with you. Me and King Mix, I'm with you guys because I was already drinking, but whatever.
All right, as David Vickers is asking, what did he do now? Listen, what he did is he tore his labrum. As the listen, I'll try to get the official wording from Grizz PR. That way, everybody's on the same page on this. And so they announced following medical update for Ja at Saturday's training session. Morant suffered a sublimation. Is that right? Of his right shoulder. He hurt his shoulder, guys. Okay. And then following ongoing soreness and instability, Morant went for an MRI and revealed an underlying labral tear. So he tore his labrum, from my understanding. It's more of a baseball injury in a sense, because obviously the guys are using their arms and throwing the ball so much. And so I do know about labrums and rotator cuffs. And so listen, he's going to be fine. I don't think it's an issue in a sense, but it sucks for this season because the season's done, just in general. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I do want to get into that. I do want to get through some of these comments because some people are asking. And as Jonathan Andrews saying, talking about the draft, that's what you can look forward to. Unfortunately, it's not a strong draft. And Keith wants to ask the people the tough questions to the medical staff.
Hey, I mean, it's not an untrue statement. I mean, there have been a lot of it feels like a lot at once. So it's tough, man. And just as a quick Google search, just so everyone knows, it's at least 6 months for recovery. You're literally tearing the muscle off the bone. Is what you're doing. That's what it's essentially a labrum tear is. And so again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not smart enough to be a doctor. I'm barely smart enough to be on this show. And so that's what you're doing. You're tearing the muscle off the bone. So it takes like 6 weeks just for the muscle to kind of reattach itself, and then another 4 to 6 months to recover. So that's it. Not only are we looking at the rest of this season, you're looking at a lot of the off season too. I think that's something that we haven't really talked about. It is not just it can sometimes take up to a year. So that it's not just it's a Brandon Clark situation, right? You hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Just on the recovery.
Yeah, I would expect he's good for the season because you're talking about, we're in January. And so listen, I've seen people bounce back faster for baseball where they have to throw. And so I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm not saying it couldn't be worse. From my understanding, my knowledge of the situation, it's bad, but it's not terrible in a sense. It was a bad injury, obviously, and it does need surgery, but it's not to the point of one of the worst ones. And so that's the only information I have that I can kind of give. And so that's kind of all I'll say on that one. But Susan wants to ask, will we actually play the young guys? Because Jenkins never plays a full available roster. I think that's going to be different. I think you're going to see a different type of coaching, but also probably maybe sometimes a frustrating coaching because there'd be some games that you feel like we could win that maybe rotations stick the same. Maybe young players get more minutes than they probably should. I'm not saying that we're going to, completely, fully tank, but I think we'll win some games. I think we won't be that bad. I don't think it'll be so gross that it's right in our face, but I do believe that you're going to start seeing the young guys. And the reason is because it's going to come from the front office. I think that's the biggest thing. So anything on this and like what we're going to have from the young guys and anybody that you might be excited about because of this? I'm not saying we're excited because of Ja's injury, but anybody that you're looking for now, like, hey, maybe this will give us a chance to see certain people.
Well, I mean, just to Susan's question, I mean, the reason he's not playing the full available roster is because he's trying to win games. Like that's the
Yeah.
that's what he's trying to do. He's
Right.
not playing the young guys because they're not very good,
Right.
as we've seen throughout this year so far. As he has played a lot of young guys, they lose a lot, and so he's not
Yeah.
playing them the full roster because he's trying to win games. Like Daniel said, that's going to change. It is a sad day. Shout out to Heaven's Healthy Kitchen's a sad day. Uh, it's talk about the Monday blues. It is Monday, right? Is it
It's
Monday?
Monday still,
It's
I
okay.
believe.
Shit, I thought it was Tuesday for a second. Yeah, I think that's going to be the question. Is kind of what you see. I mean, I think if we're looking forward to anything, um, I maybe David Roddy. He's really only prospect. Gigi Jackson. I don't think we'll see Gigi Jackson. I mean, to be real honest with you guys, if the way I kind of look at the Gigi Jackson stuff is if we haven't seen him, if we didn't see him in the first 25 games when they really needed something off the bench, I don't know if we'll see him now. Maybe that changes. If I would say this, if we do see Gigi Jackson, I think we can safely assume from afar they are in full tank mode. Like if you start playing Gigi Jackson, you have not given up on the season, but you are trying to see what you got, right? Trying to assess some people. And I think that is the most important thing. If you do enter some kind of tank situation where you're playing a lot of young guys, you just want to see what you got. You want to see what those guys are capable of, and kind of make some roster decisions while you're losing games, while the season doesn't matter anyway. So that's what you really kind of look for in a season that's kind of lost, if you will, is to see where and just see where you can improve or what decisions you have to make because Santi Aldama only has a year left on his contract for this year. He'll be up. Obviously, Xavier Tillman's probably won't return either. So there's just a lot of decisions roster wise I got to make up the next few years, and I think that's probably what you would see is see those guys play a little bit and try to make some decisions on them. So
Yeah. Well, to speak on the GG part, and as Sane is coming in here saying this now, once the season with the G League is over, it would be crazy not to play for the simple fact that you're talking
yeah,
about. We know at this point we have zero chance to make the playoffs. We're probably eliminated by this point, and at that point you have to play your young guys because you want to give them reps, real live NBA reps. And so I think that's what we'll see. Like I said, at that point in the season's all of a wash anyway. I know we think that right now, but they can't actually go in and meet with adults, professionals, and say, "Hey, we are going to lose." They can't. They're not going to say that.
yeah,
And so just expect that it will be a gradual turn where we do see them maybe rest Bain more, maybe rest Jaron more, and then you start seeing guys get more minutes that they probably normally don't. When you're talking about Laravia, you're talking about Roddy, and you're going to get all of that. It's going to happen over time, and eventually, you're talking about towards the end of the season, last 20 games of the season. I think that's when you start seeing some GG minutes. Unfortunately, this is the biggest issue. And I hate to say this, we're about to burn all these minutes or all these games because the Grizzlies can only play, I think it's 90 total. They can only have 2A players, a cumulative 90 total active games for 2A guys. Vince is
yeah.
getting up there with his 50.
Well, we said that we talked about this on the show this morning. We did. I mean, I did the math. He's only has 16 games left.
Right.
Vince does, and so that's like right before the trade deadline. So, and it's again to be clear, just so everybody knows, it's not games he plays in. It's games like you mentioned. It's games he's on the active roster. So there are a lot of games. There are several games that he didn't even play in. They got DNP-CDs, but he was on the active roster, and that is what matters the most. And so we were having this discussion in our Discord tonight as well before this even news had happened about Vince. We expect him to convert his two-way, right? So
yeah.
They'll have to mix so they will have to make moves no matter what.
Yeah.
Just because they're not going to waive people for the sake of waiving people without having to fully explored, sending Jake Laravia out for like a ham sandwich in return. As long as they get the contract off the books to put, Vince in there, that's all that matters. So, yeah, I mean, they will probably exceed those games, or not gonna exceed, but they will probably come up right into those games. They will max out Vince at 50.
Well, Jacob Gilliard, I would imagine he was active for at least 20, if not 25, because that's what
he was active
Ja.
for a while.
So you're talking about so you're talking about 50, and then you add in it. Let's just say it's 25. At the most, we're talking about maybe 25 more remaining. I'm sorry, 15 more remaining at that point.
Yeah.
At the most, I don't even know the number is. So it could be for the point of, hey, maybe we do need to make a trade earlier so we have
Yeah.
these games held, because if not, dude, you're kind of screwing yourself at this point, because you're not going to
Yeah.
have any available time for Gigi unless they go ahead and sign him to a real contract. That could happen too. Um, I don't know how that works.
I would be surprised if they
I
did
would be
that,
too.
to be honest with you. That would kind of surprise me. But like you said, I think it would behoove them to make a deal earlier than later, right? To just start to,
Yeah.
the problem is that, they are notorious for hanging around trying to get into three-way trades, trying to kind of be facilitators with Kleiman. He likes to do that as a front office person. So I think that's going to the ultimate issue is like there's always that sense of like, what could there have been a better trade out there, that kind of thing. So I think that's part of it is, yeah, you want to make a trade early, but at the same time, you want to be available to kind of be a facilitator for some of those other trades, especially as a team in a kind of a tank season. You want to be able to take on bad contracts for first round picks if you need to, or you want to be able to facilitate bad contracts to get a young wing or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's part of it. So they're going to have to. It would behoove them to make a trade sooner rather than later, but I just don't expect them to do it. Just not everything that they have shown so far, the way they do things, and just the way Kleiman operates. They've never done that.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about all this is it allows them a gap season. So, hey, we can go ahead and make a trade that we know will hurt us this year,
Yeah.
but then help us for next season. And listen, that you don't often get in that predicament, right? Golden State was in that for that one season when they were able to get Kuminga. And so at this point, this is a chance where the Grizzlies can say, hey, we'll take whatever bad contract you want to throw at us this year, but you have to give us this little piece that we really want. And so that could be, something that you look at as well. And that may be a way to get off some of these guys. Keith's asking about the two trades, consolidation to, and then maybe waive Biz. But the one thing I want to ask about is Brandon Clark. What do you do with Brandon Clark? Because obviously he was ramping up to potentially come back. What would you possibly do with him? Would you actually bring him back, or would you say, hey, you know what, we're going to take it easy this year, no real NBA game minutes?
I mean, I'm slowing him way down, right? I mean, I'm slowing him way down. Like, there's no reason, because I think originally he had said, I want to be back by the All-Star break, which was news to everybody, maybe including the team. And so I think I would slow him way down, but I think you still want to get him in there and get him minutes, right? He's another guy, if the games are no longer matter, right? If the games don't matter, then I would want to get BC back in there just to get him back in some reps and to some minutes. So if he's available and he's fully healthy, I don't think you get him back as soon as you were trying to get him back before, but I do think that you try to get him back to get him some reps for real NBA minutes, so that he has some semblance of a season and going into the offseason, so he kind of gets back. It just takes reps and time for especially Achilles, and a guy who is dependent upon being athletic. It just takes time for those muscles to heal and to kind of get back from going, yeah, you're fine, like sitting on the couch and walking around and playing pickleball, but that's a totally different thing from being just in the NBA. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, or that's the biggest thing I would do for Brandon Clark.
Yeah, and now we have a run-in. We have Nate with us. What's up, Nate?
Well, I figured if the basketball gods are going to play another cruel joke on us, might as well just give in, have a laugh. So I wore I love Hot Mom's hoodie for this.
I saw that. I was like, what is this? What we're about to bring up. Yeah, let's get your initial thoughts on everything happening. Obviously, you heard when everybody else heard. I guess just off the top.
Yeah, I think it's a time to give sobriety a try. I think God's telling me that I need to make some life changes. So there we go. No drink tonight. But I mean, it's pretty devastating, right? And I put out there, I'm like, everyone wants to fire Kleiman. Everyone wants to fire Jenkins. Everyone wants to fire Biyombo. You got to fire the training staff. Like, what? It happened during a training session. How? And like, I know these guys are athletes and they're pushing it and stuff, but it's like, dude, how many different guys are going to just get blown out for the season before we before we make a change. I mean, it's gotten ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's just an emotional reaction. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you got Steve-O, BC, Jaren's injury a couple years back, now Ja. It's like, at what point is someone not doing their job? So, maybe I'm just looking for a scapegoat, looking for someone to burn at the stake. But from a basketball perspective, it is pretty devastating. Also, Keith, it was a gift from a friend after he found out. But close.
As David Vickers is saying, we talking about practice?
Yeah, exactly. AI would be devastated. But from a basketball perspective, it's devastating, but I don't know if it changes much yet. I mean, I heard you guys talking about BC. I think it can change the math around trying to bring guys like that back. But as far as what they're going to be doing going forward, we saw them play without Ja against the Suns last night and look like a team.
Yeah.
Right. And so their ceiling's capped, but their ceiling was always capped this year. It doesn't seem like a team that's going to go all out and tank. Right. And with Marcus Smart on the team, with Desmond Bane on the team, with Jaren Jackson playing the way he's playing, it doesn't make sense to me to go all out tank. Because you got guys who are starting to live up to potential you haven't seen before, and it just doesn't fit with the DNA. From a logistics perspective, it makes all the sense in the world to tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I read the press release wrong. I didn't really, Nate pointed it out. I skipped over the training session part.
Yeah.
Which I'm with you. If that's the case, like what in the actual F? I don't, that's just bad.
Yeah.
But to your point, that's what I said, Nate, too. Like, I don't think you can get these guys a tank, but I think it opens up, like I told Daniel before, like it opens up trades that you may have not done before. Right. I mean, and I think we're all talking about tanking and what we would do in the offseason. I think, but these guys are not they're going to take a few games to like really like settle in before they decide, what I think they're going to take a week or so to see what they look like first. And then maybe make some decisions after that. I think that's why, we should make a trade right now, sure, to get, the like Dan and I talked about, to try to save games for the G League guys, or maybe see if you want to do later on. But I think that's why they're going to wait. They're going to wait and see what they got before they make any decisions. And as we've seen with this staff so far, they don't make anything. They don't do anything quickly. They are not a proactive front office at all. Yeah. They are very much a reactive team, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, David Vickers is saying he just saw something, the article yesterday came out about, potential trades. Let me just be clear. DeRozan, Drummond, that's done. No more picks or anything for this season. Nothing that we're doing this year is going to benefit this year. It's like Michael Penix running away from Michigan, linebackers and linemen. It's just not looking good. Okay. It's just not looking good. It's just, the fact is this team is, they are who they are, and they're going to be. What I would do, in my opinion, is I would now figure out a way to just move Bismack to the bench, keep X on the bench. Now is the time I would actually go Jaren at the 5. I would do the things that you want to do. I would move Kennard into the starting lineup and just see what these guys have together. And then you have Vince there. Maybe you put him in the starting lineup with these guys. I don't know. I don't know that part, but I do know that I would run Jaren at the 5. No matter what, at this point in the season, I would run Jaren at the 5. And if he fouls out, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. But that's what I would do. Your thoughts on this? I
agree.
Yeah.
I agree completely. I mean, what we saw last night, that closing lineup, and then we talked about this on the show this morning, Luke and I, for whatever reason in the world, 4 guards or four wings and a big went on an 8-0 run in the first quarter, and then Jenkins disbanded the lineup. He hated it, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't like points. I don't know. It was weird, but
points are bad. Okay.
I'm with you. I think that's your starting lineup going forward until something, just again, see what you got. I think because last night the lineup looked great with even with Zaire closing, I would have closed again. I wanted Luke, but even with Zaire, I think I get what they're trying to do in terms of rebounding and defense instead of Luke, and they wanted more defense than offense. I get it, but I'm throwing out there, Desmond, Smart, Vince, Luke, and Jaren every night, and just see where you get. I mean, again, it can't get worse because we've seen what happened in the first 25 games. So it can't be worse than that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm with you, Dan. I want to see I want to see Jaren at the 5 for an extended period just to see what his rebounding looks like, because naturally at the power forward position, he's always on the perimeter. So he doesn't rebound that well anyway, just because of where he's at on the court. But I would love to see him at the 5 for an extended time.
Yeah. Well, and you can run those young guys out, and I think you can throw Vince in those lineups, tour with what you got. But part of what I'm worried about too is just Ja Morant's headspace too. You know, it's like, I think it's one of those things that he's obviously grown a lot. He seems to have matured a lot while he was out and stuff, but coming back after being out for 25 games and then having it taken away that fast again, you know, I hope he's managed to stay in a good headspace and he's able to stay with the team and rally around being around the team. And that's part of why I think you can't tank too, because I think Ja feeds off the team's success. And I think that is something to think about. It's like, hey, his headspace, having basketball ripped away basically twice in one season, that's got to be tough. So, again, I think we talked about it last game. This team looked like a team, even without Ja. So I think they keep running it out there. You give the young guys some chances, but I don't think you can just go all in on like saying, F it, we're just going to throw whatever at the wall to see what we got with LaRavia, with Zaire, with Gigi even though all those guys, if the season gets out of hand, should get a lot of run to see what you got.
Yeah, as I can't see that. Grizigo says sound to you alongside Jaren. I think it's fine. I think we'll see it for sure a lot, especially now. But it just looking at this in general, I'm looking at the contracts right here. So there's only 2 guys that are not under contract for next season, other than the two-way guys, and that is X and Biyombo. Those are your 2 big guys. You probably can't get off of both of them, but if you were to get off of both of them for whatever reason, because what you do have now is, I know other people want to get rid of the young guys, and LaRavia, maybe Z, possibly Roddy, and then whoever. The issue is, I don't know if they want to go ahead and be so quick to jump off of them like they might be with X, because X cannot help you this season, but X can help one of these other teams. He's really cheap, and maybe it gives you a piece for next season. But also another thing is with Biyombo, he's $5 million. That actually could get you something decent back potentially. Same thing. You don't need Biyombo. Possibly you might be able to get off of him for the cheap, because whatever you're doing, you don't care if you're bad. You want to develop Jaren at the 5 in a sense. So, man, there's so much to do. But we don't want to stay around here forever to hit on it. We just want to come in here with a little bit of breaking news. So let's go ahead and do a roundtable of last thoughts. I want to go ahead and go with you, Mark, first. And any last thoughts on Ja and anything else you want to hit on before we get out of here?
It makes me sad. Look, I'm not gonna look. It makes me sad. It is devastating. Like Nate said, I'm gonna go with that's a great word for it. I got to do another show tomorrow. So do you guys. Luke and I'll be up at 9 a.m. Talking about that shit again. So we'll have more coverage on Blow City Media. You guys have a post game show tomorrow too. So, but yeah, I mean, look, I think it's just gonna be what it is. Like they're going to see what they have the next few weeks. They're going to see what the team looks like, and then they'll make a decision from there. They'll make a decision on what they want to do long term. But like we said, all 3 of us said the whole show, if it comes to trades, it opens you up to trades that if they are bad, if they're good without Ja, then who knows? I mean, that's the thing we haven't talked about is what the hell happens if they're good with Ja and they keep winning. I don't know what you do then, but the likelihood is that they'll win. They'll lose more than they will win, and that will open you up to some trades that will maybe look towards next season and not things. Prayers up for them. I have to do a show every day, every single day. I think I feel
you do get a night to sleep on it. Wake up.
We're canceling the daily grind.
A little bit
we're
more.
Canceling the daily grind. No.
Instead, I got to come out here after Jenkins and these lineups out against the Raptors. It just makes me want to blow my brains out. But the good news is we're back to no expectations.
Zero expectations.
We'll trade and stuff. See expectations. I mean, it's just been a nightmare since day one. I mean, before day one of the season, it's been a nightmare. So, I don't know. I think what we've seen from this team, was encouraged by. I think they still rally. It looked like a team that found a way to not hang their heads and not quit. And so we'll see. It's obviously devastating that expectations for the season go way down. Their ceiling goes way down on its season where even with Ja, I didn't think that championship was in the cards unless some drastic moves were made. So we'll see. Maybe there's a chance to still have fun. Team rallies, make some noise, and then we'll see. Or we'll get a lottery pick. We'll see how that goes too. Chances are we still won't get the first overall pick because Detroit exists. So
true. Well, listen, it's a lottery, baby. Let them balls fall. Well, listen, that's all we have tonight. We just want to hop on here real quick and kind of give our initial thoughts. We're watching this the championship game as well for college football. It's not really so hot at the moment, but it's winding down. So it's been, listen, it's devastating, as Nate said. It is sad. It's a bummer, man. And so hopefully something good comes out of this, and whether it's development of these young guys, whether it's a big trade that we wouldn't have gotten if he would be healthy. Maybe it's development out of Jaren, Bain, maybe Smart, Luke, whoever. Somebody really steps up and becomes a huge piece to this team going forward, more than they already are. And so never know. We'll see. But, we'll always keep the glass half full just in case.
I'm so excited to watch Jaren dominate.
Yes. I'm excited.
Shout out Goon.
Yeah, the Goon. The Goon is loose. All right, that's all we got. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to bed. I got an early morning. And make sure you go check out the Daily Grind in the morning, 9 a.m. with Mark and Luke. Luke will probably be crying. Prayers are for Luke. He'll be sad in the morning. I promise.
I'm going to have to do some consoling.
Yeah, it'll be a therapy session for Luke. Mark's just going to be sitting there, just listening. All right, that's all we got. Y'all be nice and tell your friends.